I harmed a lot of people during that emotionally turbulent time in April at this point, uh, in relation to builders and all that kind of mess. And you know how builders can be in Sydney. Payment and the stress and anxiety and that noose that they have over your neck because they owe you money, and it's a noose because it's choking if you don't get paid, right? That's part of what that weight is on a lot of Lebanese Maronites in Sydney's chest. It's builders, tradies not getting paid. It's the stress that's associated with schedules, with invoices. Oh, and it's the power that you get when you know that you can influence someone, when they're chasing you up for money. It gives you a big head because you know how powerful that is. And a lot of builders and tradies in the construction industry misuse that power. Not picking up the phone when someone's chasing them up for money, finding excuses in their own head not to pay the tradie or to pay the tradie less, when the actual reason is you probably spent too much money at the brothel or snorting cocaine. And that's where the finance issue comes from. And that sort of bled out into the real world because you've misused someone's money that's now chasing you up for it, that now feels a noose around their neck because they see that their savings account is going down and the payments that they were promised aren't coming through. And that's a big, big, big problem for a lot of people. And that causes a lot of stress, a lot of heartache, a lot of anguish. And what does that blow up into? Tradies coming over people's houses, domestic violence, taking that anger out on loved ones. It's deplorable behavior. And I assumed that we were past that as a community. I thought that was a pre-2000 thing, maybe. But no, still very vibrant game out there. Cheap, criminal, crooked behavior seeping into the business world in the Lebanese Maronite community in Sydney, in my opinion, as being someone that's been directly affected by it, and also directly affected by it that I actually harmed someone. I sort of lashed out on Facebook and spoke badly about a cousin of mine who's a solicitor. His name is Tony Toke, and his firm is Magna Carta Legal. Or no, Magna Carta Lawyers. That's a splendid firm. I think perhaps now that I found my voice, it's almost a responsibility for me to make up for misusing my words or communicating in a toxic way, make up for it by sort of finding my voice and speaking more positively and more highly of people. I've been thinking about Tony Toke of Magna Carta Lawyers a lot, and how he's actually quite a splendid person. Not actually quite a splendid person. He's someone that I actually really admire and I really like. And we have a lot in common. I think we're both well-traveled, well-educated men that are both trying to do the best for our community in our own way. I commend him for staying professional, because at the time I assumed that everyone was out to get me, and it turns out it was only my uncle Maroon, my father Majid Toke, my uncle Shabel Toke, my uncle Zuzul Toke, my auntie Rada Toke, and a big chunk of my first cousins. It was them specifically that were actually out to get me, but not Tony Toke, of Magna Carta Legal Lawyers. He wasn't emotional at all. He wasn't part of that. It was my misunderstanding, which led to his detriment, which, yeah, led to me sort of lashing out against him in my confusion, in my emotionally confused state, in my emotional state where I was quite confused about the people around me and their intentions. I believe for good reason. He stayed stoic and professional. I misjudged him, and it was only after I calmed down that obviously I was remorseful, and even at the time I realized that what I was doing was crossing the line, but I was so overcome. I thought back to a lot of the interactions that we've had, because he's helped me out a lot in the past, and he's a great guy. We talk about the family a lot, and we talk about traveling, and I believe he's gone to France and he's visited my auntie in France. He's so curious about that side of the family, because he's a curious person, and we just talk about traveling and family, and it's great. I think he wants to establish a stronger international connection in the Tote community, but he doesn't know how. We were talking about how there are so many Lebanese in Brazil, and there's so many of our family in Brazil, because a long time ago, people had a choice, Brazil or Australia, and some chose Brazil and some chose Australia. We chose Australia, and we're both fascinated to see how the other side lives. And we've got organizations with the potential to establish a line of communication or a bridge with people in Brazil, but both of us agreed at the time that that's highly unlikely, given how complex the task would be. But I'm one of those people that don't really see sort of complexity. They just see the end goal and they kind of work tirelessly to get it. And that's something that I'm passionate about, and I don't really see as that big of a challenge, because I believe there's a thriving community in Brazil that wants to establish a connection with family here. But there's the cultural bridge that needs to be overcome, and our family in recent times has proven to be quite conservative. They fear the unknown, even if it's their own family, because their own family is so far away from them. And I think that that's really unfortunate, because we are an international community. The Lebanese Maronite community is not anchored to Lebanon, I don't believe. Lebanon is rather the soil for which the roots grow, but they branch out all over the world. They don't really belong to Lebanon in the way that a lot of people think. there's more Lebanese outside of Lebanon than there is in Lebanon. I believe there's more Lebanese in Brazil and Australia. I think the country with the third most population of Lebanese is Lebanon. We're a diaspora. And we've spread across the world. And for whatever reason, my little nook in Sydney thinks that they're the only ones that are doing it right. It's quite odd. And I think it'd be a little bit embarrassing for them to realize that even at St. Charbel's Parish, there are South American or Latin priests, I want to say. That's a fantastic thing and a fantastic idea. Mind you, Khalil Gibran, who is on the emblem of the Toke Association, of the Toke Association in their logo, um, he's from Lebanon, sure, but he grew up in Chicago in America. He's American. And we're talking about him in Australia, and his museum, his custodians are Lebanese. They love him in France. They love us in America. Here we're doing quite well all over the world. And there are some countries where, I suppose, for whatever reason, due to socioeconomics or migration issues or whatever, where we just had a bad run since the 80s, I'd say. And the reason why I say that is because my father was in jail in 1988, and the issues that plagued him are still plaguing my family. And I think of how we are international, but my family's scared of anything outside of themselves. But they don't realize that they embody international, not globalism, just by virtue of themselves. They are international people. The Toke family. We shouldn't be scared of other people. And I actually think it's a tragedy when we are scared of our own family members overseas. A beautiful bubble that burst for me was going back to Lebanon as an adult in 2005. Reconnecting with my roots when I was, I still wasn't 18, I don't believe. When was I 18? Yeah, no, 2006, I turned 18. So I was 17 when I went to Lebanon as an adult, a young adult, and I really enjoyed reconnecting with my family. I was scared to go to Lebanon because I had this idea about the Lebanese in Lebanon being simpletons or brutish or something that, is intimidating, and that just isn't true at all. They're amazing, beautiful people, and I love them. And I became a better person after going to Lebanon as an adult for the first time, and I continued to go, and I love Lebanon, and I love the Lebanese people, and I think it's a shame that my family doesn't treat it with the respect that it deserves in a lot of ways. Getting drunk all over Lebanon, let's say, snorting cocaine all over Lebanon. By the way, shout out to red Lebanese hash. No problem with that. That's like ingrained. That's in the soil. That predates Lebanon, so that's fine. But the cocaine and is an issue. I was going to say cocaine and alcohol. There certainly is a massive issue with alcoholism in my village in Pshadi, and that was transported to Australia and metastasized and got worse. Turned into heroin addiction and cocaine addiction. Yeah, and so there was a lot of criminality in our family, and in a lot of ways, Tony had to the lawyer that I was talking about, has to navigate that as well, because he's an individual that wants the best for his family. So of course, you're a Lebanese Maronite. You work with the family. You're a lawyer. You're the family lawyer. Beautiful. How stressful is it when there's so much criminality in our family, though, for him? I can feel it. And I'm not saying that he contributes to it at all. He absolutely does not contribute to that at all. And one of the big things that people say about Tony and the family is that he is frustratingly honest. That's a great golden start thing to as a feedback for people in our family, because they need that. Nah, mate, don't care. I'm not going to help you. It's the law. Nah, I'm not going to do this or that. No, 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 no. I don't want to hear it. If you're saying anything remotely, you know, bad, I should say, he'll demand you leave the room. No, no, he doesn't want to hear it. He's, yeah, strictly like that. And I admire him greatly for that. And he's a great person to look up to in our community. I genuinely, genuinely think so. I actually say that from the heart. He's a beautiful, lovely, amazing person that's always curious about members in his family, because he wants the best for him and he wants to help them. And he has that beautiful international sort of heart and beautiful international connection, that I'd love to be able to kind of help thrive with him one day in the Toke Association and the Bshadi Association. That Brazilian element, that French element, which is just there, right? Because as Lebanese Maronites, we have a strong French influence. Well, and not the Maronites, the Lebanese culture in general. There's a strong French influence there. But America, Chicago, Khalil Gibran, he's all over our emblem, and his home city is Chicago. Why isn't there a Toke Association or Bshadi office in Chicago? And there might be, but the fact that I don't know about it is a shame, I believe. Because Khalil Gibran's a hero of mine. And he was the role model that I had, because all the role models around me failed. My father, Majid Toke, failed, and my Uncle Charlie, although he gave me that Khalil Gibran book, he was familiar with Khalil Gibran, he failed to live up to the standards set out in his writings and in his work. And mind you, I should add that Khalil Gibran most likely didn't live up to the standards that he wrote, which is a very Bshari problem, right? That's why I love him, because I feel that and I understand it. I don't overly judge him for that. I take the good, but I also, acknowledge the bad, because you have to. Otherwise, you are off balance in a way that's really bad. Yeah. You always have to be honest. Yeah, but I mean, my father's a great example. He's well respected in the community because he's been reinforced by people that refuse to call out lies. The same goes for my Uncle Charlie in the Lebanese Maronite community. I hope my good cousin and hopefully still friend, Tony Toke, the lawyer, the great, conscientious, ethical lawyer. I hope we're still friends. I think it's important for me to acknowledge the good, because I'm going to bring up so much bad naturally as I speak and get better at this. I just want to leave by reiterating that international connection and thinking about Saint Charbel's parish in Punchbowl. I hope I wasn't being too harsh with that parish, and I just wanted to be understood that I love that parish and was baptized in that parish. Um, it's just unfortunate what happened, and I believe that you know I overreacted, and they're going to do better, and it's going to be fine because everything is fine, really. But the way that I see that church is just as one tiny piece of the big um, mosaic. There's the Maronite Church all over the world, like a little tile, in that sort of beautiful mosaic. Punchbowl, but there's Maronite churches all over the world: London, Paris, Chicago. Um, and it's a lovely thought to think that, that I'm conscious of the fact that I have my gripes with a specific church in a suburb, but that's just at best an administrative issue. Right? They're part of this beautiful thing that is the Maronite Church, which is a gift to the world, not just our little corner of North Lebanon. And I think that's all I have to say about that. I love you.